What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. So in the last video you saw me picking some mulberries from over beside the chicken coop, chicken lot area. Now I'm over here alongside our driveway and I got some mother berries here that I want to show you. So I'm going to bring the camera in for a closer look and I'm going to roll that intro and be right back with you. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. What you're looking at now is some wild black raspberries. We've got several little clusters of these growing around the farm, and I want to show you some key differentiators here to help you identify a black raspberry from a red raspberry and a blackberry. This time of year, I see people all over the Facebook groups posting pictures of a thorny bush with leaves and these little green berries on them, trying to identify what they are. Well, there are some easy ways to tell a raspberry from a blackberry, and I'm going to walk you through some of that real quickly. You see there's there's another one on the bottom here. So there's 7 berries growing right here together in this little cluster. That's not the case typically for blackberries. Most blackberries grow with several little stems shooting out, and you may have 1 or 2 coming off of there growing, but you're not going to have a cluster of this many berries coming off of the same little stem, if you want to call it that. Next up is the shape of the berry. So let me brighten this image up a little bit so you can see it. When you pull the berry off and you look at it from the front, you'll notice it's round. And then when you flip it over on the other side, you see there's a little indentation there. That's where this stem right here, now the sun's decided to come out and it's going to blow my video out. You see the stem where the berry was attached? It stays attached to the vine, to the berry cane. And so when you pull the berry off like this, it's left with, oh, I dropped the other one. It's left with a hole in the bottom right there. With a blackberry, you don't have that hole in place. So a lot of people see a blackberry like this and they immediately think it's a blackberry. Well, it's a berry that's black, yes, but it is not a blackberry. There are wild black raspberries. One other way you can tell is look at the cane, the plant that it's growing on. I'll see if I can get a little bit closer, but this is a round stem, a round berry cane. Blackberries are, I'll find one here, there's going to be one right here beside me somewhere, I'm sure. It is ribbed and it's green. So this is last year's growth of raspberry. It turns this reddish color whenever it's about to bear berries. Over here, I'll show you another one. See back over here, see if I can get that focused. See that light frosted light green color stem back over there? That is this year's growth of wild black raspberries. The leaves of a raspberry and a blackberry are almost identical. It is very hard to tell the difference between the plants by looking at the leaf. Most people struggle to see the difference there when they look at it. The easiest ways to tell the difference are look at the shape of the stem. Is it round or is it ribbed? And I'll show you a ribbed blackberry here in just a minute. And then look at the berries themselves, like I said before. A raspberry, like I said earlier, is going to be round when you look at it. Now, blackberry, often there are different varieties of wild blackberries too. So sometimes you'll get a round blackberry. Oftentimes, though, blackberries are kind of oblong shaped. They'll be longer than they are round. Whereas a raspberry, you know, in this case, this is first of the year berries. So it's going to be probably about the same diameter as it is depth. But as the season goes on, they will begin to get smaller and shrink up in size. But the other telltale sign, like I said before, is that when you pull the berry off, you're left with that hole, that crater down inside the center of the berry where the berry was attached right there. So here's a close-up of this year's growth wild black raspberry. See, it's green underneath, but it has this frosted white, pale blue kind of coloration to it. That is this year's growth. This cane will not produce any berries this year, but it will next year. Just something to keep in mind when you're looking at these. See, there is a difference. You see there's green there below, but on the surface, there is that frosted white to pale blue coloration. All right, I'm gonna start picking. These actually are a bit past prime. I don't know how I've missed them, but they're okay though. They're still tasty. The bugs haven't gotten to them. The birds haven't gotten to them. This cicada hatch that we're in the middle of, it's really taken a lot of the pressure. The birds are focusing on the cicadas and they're not touching the berries. It's incredible how, and plus we're having a wet spring. This is the wettest May that we have had in a long time. And the berries and everything are really benefiting from that. I'm gonna keep picking here and I'll get back with you in just a little bit. Oh, there's another one I missed. You know, when you look at them from all different angles, you start to see some that you missed, because if you're just looking at them from up high, you know, there's always some that are down underneath that you don't see. So anyway, I think I've picked it pretty clean as far as the ripe ones today. I've got nearly a container full here, really good. We have a really large cluster of wild black raspberries over on the other side of the property, but I haven't mowed around them. And I do not know how thick of a jungle it is. It's rained the past several days. I could possibly get the bush hog out and try to bush hog around them where I could get to them. I may try to do that in a minute. And then I could go out and try to pick some of those tomorrow morning. I don't know what I'm going to see down there. This area here gets a different amount of sunlight than those over there do. So there's a lot of factors that play into, you know, when they're ripe. You know, we always get berries up on top of the ridge ripen before the berries down on the bottom of the hill. These get more sunlight to start early in the year, early in the spring, and a lot of times they'll be ripe 2-3 weeks before the ones down in the valley behind on the other side of the property, down in the lower elevation, 120, 130 feet below where I'm at right now. So anyway, I'm going to go find a blackberry. Actually, there's one right over there, and there's one right over there. It's just a matter of getting one where I can get a pretty good video comparison to try to show you the difference. But I'm going to go find a decent blackberry where I can show you the difference between a blackberry and a wild black raspberry. And just for giggles, I'll probably take you behind the house and I'll show you the Wineberries. They're dramatically different. They're the easiest to tell the difference in, but I'll take you and I'll just show you those, which is the red raspberries. I'll just show you all of them just so that way you have the full range of different kind of berries that you could be looking at. Okay, so what we're looking at now is a wild blackberry. Now, it is still growing in a cluster, but they're not all coming out of the same point. Oh, I moved it out of frame. They're not all growing out of the same point necessarily the way that the raspberries were. So with the raspberries, see if I can turn it where you can see it, they would have all been coming out of basically the same node right here. Whereas with these blackberries, they're kind of coming off of this stem just a little bit. Now, there are several varieties of wild blackberry. So what I'm showing you now is this particular type, but you can, you know, and I've got 4 or 5 different varieties of wild blackberry here on the farm, and each one of them grow slightly differently. This is just specific to this one that I'm showing you right now as an example. The big way to tell the difference in a wild blackberry and a wild black raspberry is in the cane, and I will show you that now. All right, so take a look at this cane. It is ribbed. And when it's a mature blackberry, such as this one, it turns this dark brown color. And it's starting to rain. I didn't think there was any more rain coming. I'm gonna have to hurry. This is the dark brown color of a wild blackberry. As you remember before, the wild black raspberry also turns this dark red to brownish color as well. The other difference is, look at the size of the barbs. The barbs on a wild blackberry are generally longer and they're more closely spaced than those of a wild black raspberry. Let me show you this first of the year new growth blackberry cane. So here you go. Here's where you see the biggest difference in the wild blackberry and the wild black raspberry. This is a first of the year new growth wild blackberry. It's ribbed. It's got a little bit of texture to it, also vertically if you rub up and down it. But the side to side, you can see there, it is ribbed all the way around, and the barbs, the thorns, are enormous on it. These are way larger than the barbs and the thorns on the wild black raspberry. It's also this dark green color. Remember, the wild black raspberry that we saw, it had that frosted blue to frosted green light coloration to it. Big difference between first of the year wild blackberry and first of the year wild black raspberry. All right, and last but not least, now we are at the wineberries. These are the more commonly seen raspberries that you see in stores. These are the really large, fat, red raspberries that you see. These are super sweet berries. They're really soft. They're probably twice or 3 times as large as a wild black raspberry. But you see the dramatic difference. Once again, they're growing in a cluster out here on the end, same as the wild black raspberries. The leaf is so totally different as well. Very different leaf than the wild black raspberry or the wild blackberries, which interestingly, I have wild blackberries growing in here amongst these as well, which I need to get thinned out a little bit. But this is what the new berries look like. This is how they're looking here in probably another month, a month and a half maybe. These are going to be great big large red berries. But check out the stem on these. This is where you tell another dramatic difference between the red raspberries and the wild black raspberries. Check out that stem. Look at that. Look at all those little barbs coming up through there. Now I say they're barbs. Every now and then there's actually a sharp one, but for the most part, it's just like little hairs coming off of it. This is what a wineberry or a red raspberry cane looks like. Very, very different than what we saw earlier with the wild black raspberries and the wild blackberries. So if you see something like this, and you see those weird looking growths on the end that kind of look like a seed pod maybe, that's actually the wineberries or the red raspberries. All right, that's going to do it for this video, everybody. It's starting to rain on me again. I got a little break in order to come out here and get this wineberry video clip done. It's starting to come down. The camera's getting wet. Thankfully, it's weatherproof, but I got to get it inside because yeah, I'm about to get soaked. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this video informative. We are about to be up to our eyeballs in berries here on the farm, just like every spring, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much for watching. Wish you a wonderful day. God bless.